Okay, so the Matara is that everyone here knows all the raid on the Crockpot. There's some Zalman, opposed by the Shevet Levi. We have a Yasha floating in the middle, and there's really not that much to add, to be bluntly honest. The only Nakuda that maybe we can be Meisif is, how do we approach such a sugya and what to do with it. So we'll try to hopefully b'siyat d'shemaya get there. So there's a first cousin to the crackpot, and it's called a hot plate. It's called a hot plate, and the question really is, everything boils down to, how do you view Hatmanah b'mixas? That's really the $1 million shayla, which is a Ramah, and the Ramah says that we paskin Hatmanah b'mixas lo yishmei Hatmanah, that if something is mutman a little bit, it's not called Hatmanah, which l'chayra should negate anything we're going to say. L'chayra. But let's see if that's accurate. But before we even get there, the question is this even called Hatmanah b'mixas? What's the shayla? Because the case of Chazal is gacholim. And we're not talking about gacholim. So if you're doing Hatmanah, let's say we designed a really, really efficient crackpot that the cover had heating rods in it. New invention. I actually think they make them, believe it or not, that the cover is attached and open. I think a rice cooker is this invention. Would that be called l'chol hashita l'chol de'es Hatmanah? There's no megula lamala. There's no cover. The cover is a heating element. So l'chayra, at this point, there should be no shayla, right? Because it should be a davar pashit that this is called fully Hatmanah. So what's the shayla? However, there was a more primitive case, which is we've been handling shehiyah for a while. Let's say I want to leave my soup. What? No, it's inside the thing. There's no extra kli in there. Not all of them. This guy doesn't have a lot of them don't have a cleaner. Adiyah dinish. Adiyah, I understand. Adiyah dinish. But again, be'ofen kloli. So the let's say you want to just keep your soup on top of a flame on Shabbos, and let's say you were Sephardi. Would that be allowed? What's the shayla? Is that called Hatmanah b'mixas? Because the Mechaber argues on the Ramah in Sif Ches over here, and as well back in Rishon Gimel Sif Aleph. And the Mechaber holds Hatmanah b'mixas shmei Hatmanah. So the question is a flame calls Hatmanah b'mixas? And this was a shayla that Ramesha. Oh, okay, good. Let's see what the sanad is in a moment. Firstly, comes along Ramesha. Ramesha says, if you call me the Mesil Sharam, I'll call you Ramesha. Okay, I'll repay the favor. That Ramesha, in Rosh Hashanah's book, in Ha'ara 842, writes, and he explains in Ha'ara 800, is this a typo? Ha'ara Tov Shin Mem Gimel 1143. Holy cow! Wow. Okay, I just wanted to say that I calculated Tov Shin Mem Gimel. That's all I wanted to show everyone. Very proud of myself. Did I do it right? I did. Okay. He says near Delav Davka Gabi Gacholim Elaf Al Isha Lagaz Shalanu Chashiv Hatmanah Ladas B'chad. However, comes along the stapler, and the stapler was asked. Stapler was asked in Archas Rabbeinu Chelik Aleph, page 102. Histabik kavanas beis shaliga rak begacholim. Oisha aser gam kishnagia shuliak der bilahava on a flame. Afshein boima moshes. Amru es sveikel of name Mari Verabi. They said the suffix in front of the stapler. Va'amar shemistaver shaloi mikri Hatmanah. It's not called Hatmanah. In the Mechaber's Aval me'achar shloi ayin be'inyin hechmir al atzmai. The stapler himself was machmir v'igbiya es a kumkum mayim al yad tabah shel barzel. How do they have hot water? They had a tea kettle on a flame. So what did he do? He was nervous the flames were touching it. He raised it up al oid tabat shel barzel kidei shel lahava Loi tiga b'shulei kumkum. So the flame does not touch. So I think you see two things from the stapler. Very good. You see from the stapler, number one, that he felt a flame was a problem, even though Be'etzim yelled it wasn't a problem. For himself, he was machmir, and he was even machmir, seemingly, for the mechaber. However, on the other hand, the Shmir Shabbos comes along, and he says, no, it's no Hatmanah bechlal with a flame. The similar svar of by mamish. And the Chudshani, Mrs. Kroll says similarly, Eina nechshev k'hatmana gam l'das Shulchan Aruch te'ein haderech lahatmin ba'ish. So they want to say that even on a flame, there's no hatmana. This would then continue. That's what you said. But Ramesh argued. He's not arguing with you. He said, Aish shel hagaz shalanu chashav hatmana l'das mechaber. On what? I mean, this goes back to all our in Shia. If you really believe what you're saying, then we could have stopped learning 6 weeks ago, gone on a very nice vacation, and nothing would have started. But clearly, we don't believe that. Clearly, we believe that there is a Shem Yechate even on a flame and all these things. So I would have said, Fakert. I ask Akasha the other way, on the Zalmin, on the Nisi Krelitz, how could they say that there's no Hatman on a flame? What do you mean? It's a regular Shem Yechate. Why is this different than any other Shem Yechate? By Shehiyah, from Nisi Krelitz was emphasis saying, oh, there's no Shem Yechate because it's a flame? I don't know. That's what you said. That's what you said. I don't know. It's Shem Yechate B'Gecholim. It's the same Shem Yechate. Good. So that's, I don't understand. This is the machlokes versus Moshe versus Nisi Krelitz. I'm not understanding what the sheli is. I don't know. I'm not smart. So let's continue. I really don't know. Good, so you ask your local chacham. No, I don't know. He doesn't discuss Svardim. It's not relevant to us. But this comes to the next shayla. The next shayla is on your plata, keeping food on the plata. What is there going to be a hatmana shayla? Meaning, if we believe that maybe there's no hatmana on a flame, could you also say that there's no hatmana on a heating element? There's no hatmana on a heating element, then number one, there's be no hatmana on a plata. And number two, there maybe would be hatmana, then we could start with a crackpot. And then nafkamina would be the Kavod Shabbos blankets that some coined, the Chol Shabbos blankets that say the Kavod Shabbos Kodesh that you could put over your food to keep it warm. Would you be allowed to use that in conjunction with your plata? Because if this is not called a Moisef Hevel, because it's not Kacholim, then maybe you could even take the blanket fully and wrap your food on top of the plata. Oh, good. Slow, very good. I said maybe. Let's get there slowly. Everyone. I told you there's no chadushim here. That was the preface. Don't worry. We're just warming up to the real fireworks. I'm hoping to run out of time, and the last 90 seconds just tell you the story, in case you didn't realize. So Lamaisa, Rishon Zalman says that when we're on. We're talking about Erev Shabbos. All of the above. I'm not talking about anything. I'm talking about a plata. Whether there is shaykhis to say that a plata is called hatmana b'mixas. That is what I'm asking. You're allowed it before Shabbos in hatmana. Yeah. What's the practical to us from monikers? We'll get there. Right now, we're in a sugya. We have to get to a crackpot. We have to understand the Ramah. We have to understand the Rishon Zalman. We have to understand the Rav Yashiv. We understand the Sheva Levi. We got to understand everyone. So let's go slowly. And we already saw that the stapler. Yeah. Okay. So some Zaman Lamaisa, I'm going to go a little bit faster because I know the Elam is not really interested, unfortunately. So some Zalman, he wants the taina that on a plata, it's not even called Hatmanah b'mixas, for the similar reason that it's efshar lahatmin bahem. It's not possible to do Hatmanah in it. And he says in the Tshuva, amongst other places, lahasaydrim Hatmanah b'mixas shema Hatmanah. Then he says that you're going to be allowed to use this plata. The reason is because it's as far as you wanted to say, which again, that is the weighted machlekes over here, whether this will be at all nichlal in the gezerah. Okay, let's get to the main show because Ilam is losing patience. Yes, you could certainly ask.
What's the chiluk between, let's say, any plata or whatever, than a ground if it's on Shabbos? Put your thing on the counter after it's hot, the same issue. Because
Not following. Hatmanah makes a Shemei Hatmanah Lefi the Mechaber means that you're not allowed to put something on any level of heat source.
and that's before Shabbos, and on Shabbos you can't wrap something in something that's mine.
Right.
So if your counter, let's say, is a granite countertop,
Yeah.
the same way it would be also to be if you were Ashkenaz to have
Yeah.
you stick it in the ground sand. Isn't that called a mix of put it on any flat surface? On Shabbos.
Counter is cold. I don't understand. Counter is cold. Your counter is not heated. You heated counters. That's cool.
It's room temperature. It doesn't on Shabbos. It doesn't have to be heated. No.
Yeah, I mean, if you fully are matching something, of course.
But I'm saying,
What does that do anything? You start asking a kasha on the mechaber. You just want to know what was the mechaber hold about that. He splits it. I mean, he.
That's why even the wrong.
No, clearly not. Clearly not. I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. Again, this could all be totally zapazeh. It could be that gacholim, and this is what we're about to see in a moment. Could be gacholim automatically go into it a little bit, but again, when the stapler was machmer with the flame, he clearly. You know how big the stapler's teapot was. Okay, so now, before we start a Crockpot, we have to just point out that there's a Nacha stapler and a Chazon Ish that oppose the Ramah. Whether you're allowed to say what I just said, that's the reality, which you all know. There's multiple Chazon Ishes. One's in Siman Lamed Zayin, Sivkot in Yutas. One is in Siman Kuf Nun Vav. And I mean, I'll just read one line from Siman Kuf Nun Vav. He says, "Aval shaber yishlemer dechol shemisim tachas hashulayim davar hamishamer choymoi kavu chacham bichlal tamana." And the Kilas Yankov in Archas Rabbeinu quotes Archas Rabbeinu. This is in again the same place on the top of page 102. He quotes the Mishnah Berurah and Rishon and Gimel Sefkat and Vav that Hachas Yirle Machaber Dimshule Ekter Nagim B'Kacham Nikra Tamana Akan L'Shayne V'Chein Pasak Maron Chazon Ish. B'Sifrei v'chein nohig Meiri v'Rabbi Shlita Zicher Tzadik Levracha. After he died, they changed it. So it's a real chumrah of the stapler Chazon Ish that they're all being machmir for the machaber. So that's really step one over here, is that we have a machlekes, but of course we all know there are some Zalman pulls out the Bnei Yisrael Yotzim B'Yad Ramah V'Noigim Kamaisai, and the Mishnah Berurah, of course, and the Magen Avram all go with the Ramah. However, there is maybe a little bit of what we would call a middle level that the Pri Megadim in Rishon and Tes, Mishbasais Sivkatan Gimel, says if it's Megullah Lamala, the minog is lahakel, like we learned in Rishon and Gimel Aleph. But he says Me'ikar Adin im Noigas Hakadira B'Gacholim Yesh Lahachmir, lashon of the Pri Megadim. Yesh Lahachmir, also in Pri Megadim. And so now, what's the Psak Halacha? Psak Halacha, of course, is going to be like Rishon Zalman. Then he says the Bnei Yisrael Yotzim B'Yad Ramah, and the Iker Psak Halacha, of course, is going to be like the Ramah in the fight versus him and the Chazon Ish. Or, that's not a nice way to say it, it's him versus the Mechaber. But okay, for us Ashkenazim, we could say him and the Chazon Ish. With that, we start the Crockpots Sugya. And I think the appropriate hakdama, which is also going to be the siyam, which is also going to be the whole shtickle, because I don't really have much to add, because you all know all the different svaras, names, and faces, is as following. Just like when we learn a sugya, and we finish a Mishnah Berurah before Dirshu, obviously, and we want to know, is my kishka hatmanah? So I don't know. It's sitting submerged in something. So it's a derech bishul, not derech hatmanah. Mishnah Berurah says that. Anyone have a Mishnah Berurah about that? Is there a Mishnah Berurah? Is there Mishnah Berurah that says that Kishka is a derech bishul, not derech hatmanah, therefore it's mutter? Does anyone have a Mishnah Berurah? Anyone? Going once, twice, selling it for free. Anyone? No. There's no Mishnah Berurah. So why is every single person over here so confident to putting their kishka on the chalent? What's pshat? No. Oh, yeah, it doesn't crumble. Or that's far I just said it's a good svara. Oh, it's a good svara, right? Dayan Weiss, that it is. It's derech bush, derech chatzmana. What I'm just pointing out is all these svaras that we're so quick to go with is not the Mishnah Berurah svaras. We just have to be aware how we're splitting the text from the paiskim. Now, Mishnah Berurah is obviously one of the paiskim. I'm just using this in speech. Obviously, is that when you finish the Mishnah Berurah, I would have thought one thing. To be honest with you, I would have thought it doesn't crumble. Well, what sheikhs doesn't crumble? Again. Of course. Again, of course. Again, of course. Doesn't. Of course, everything goes back to the lashon of the Mishnah Berurah, the Paiskim, and the Machaber, and it goes back to the Gemara. Obviously, all I'm pointing out is that when we learn halacha, we all collectively finish the Mishnah Berurah, and then we say, in the world of Shabbos, what we say is, but wait, we all do this. Why do we do this? And then we start opening up all the Paiskim. Say, oh, because her Moshe says it. Oh, because her Zalman says it. Oh, because the Minchas Yitzchak says it. Because the Machzaliel says it. And then we have an Avada, all the Paiskim, which is usually what we try to do, tie it back into the words of the Mishnah Berurah, a diak azai, a machaber like this, and then everything is glatt. And of course, it is. It's amazing. That hakdama is really that we have to approach a crackpot with the exact same ideology. Bein l'chumra, bein l'gola. Usually, maybe it's l'chumra and will end up being mekel from the paiskim. But if it happens the other way, then zolzain, so be it. That's l'chayra has to be the same attitude and has to be the same takeaway. Has to be just like with the kishka. You all could say, is there a makom hakmir? Maybe I don't know. And that one's a little bit shver because there's so many svaras lahakal, so many svaras. But when you want to point into the Mishnah Berurah, I don't know, Dirshu had a sweat to find the right number place to put in the Mishnah Berurah, where to put that one. That's one of those they just arbitrarily throw in. Yeah, these type of things. Where does it come from? It's hard. You talk to someone who just learns classical text. A lot of these things are very difficult. But Lamaisa, we go to Paiskim. So obviously, you all understand what I'm trying to say. Is that when it comes to a crackpot, if Rishon Zalman Baraisham, who's always going to be the one, Rishon Zalman saves the day, and Rishon Zalman's Kula, and Rishon Zalman's Svara, if Rishon Zalman is going to be nervous about something, and he's going to have a Svara, we have to, the same way we schwitz to understand the Kula, because we want to be Mekel, we have to schwitz to understand the Chumrah, because we want to follow the Lashon HaPaiskim. That's the Akdama, and I think really we can end the share there. I'll just now go through what is said. It really starts with, I'm going to start with Rav Elyashiv, even before Rav Shlomo Zalman. There's a tshuva, it's not written by Rav Elyashiv, it's in Eitzros HaShabbos, it's written by his Talmud. Rabbi Karp wrote the tshuva, and he addresses a lot of the classical points. He says that even though according to the Ramah, Lamaisa Tzatmanu Mixas Eino Hatmanah, he says, but it's covered by all four sides. It's covered by all sides. Okay. So he says, but wait, what about the air? We all know there's air in between it. There's air. Why isn't the air save you? So he says, Loy Nicker Avir. Interesting. That's what Rav Elyashiv said. The air is not nicker. I don't know why it's not nicker. It's not recognizable. Because the lip goes over the edge, and therefore the air is going up to the top and around the sides. No, the top's a separate shmooze. We have to get to the top. But he was bothered by the fact that why don't we say the Shiloh doesn't, no, he wasn't bothered. He was saying Lakula. Why don't we say that the air saves the day? Then nothing is, it's not Hatmanah B'chlal. It's not even Hatmanah B'mixas. We have a Maifis. It's sitting and it's on air. It's not on heat. Why don't we say that there's no Hatmanah? If I have something hovering in the center of a heating source, is that Hatmanah? Or any, good. So there is, I'll be honest, there is a Scheinberg that starts being medamet the oven, and I got very confused. So I'll give you the marmukam, and you could try to understand. I just don't, not that confused. I have a kasha. Confused that I just don't understand what he means. I got lost in his Hebrew. Again, no. I know what you said. There's a Rav Scheinberg that starts saying rayas to the crackpot from an oven, and he wants to go back and forth. I don't fully understand it, but In the crockpot, there's space in between the wall and the thing. Rav Yashi says, "Eino nika avir." I don't really understand that, but that's what he says. And then he says, "It's derech bishuloi v'chimumoi." It's the derech, and he says, "Ve'evshir." That's not enough to take it out of Hatmanah. It's a derech hatzmin bazeh, and therefore it should be shayich v'gezeiras chitui. Those were the basic svaras of Rav Elyashiv. And in the tshuva that Karp wrote, again, it's hard to know who wrote what. This was clearly a conversation he had with Rav Elyashiv. He points out that the Pri Megadim, and he quotes a Mishnah Brura also, Reish Nun Tes of Katan Gimel. Reish Nun Tes of Katan Gimel, that even without a Kisui Milmala, Kol Shemachusai Kuloi Bitstadav is Aser. Zakt, Azay Zakt the Rebbe, Reish Nun Tes, Sivkatan Gimel. That's what he quotes. The tshuva is in Eitzer Shabbos, Pnine HaEitzer, page 517. Right, Dave, is that on the Eitzer? Can we get that? Okay, so we'll look at the tshuva itself. We'll look at the tshuva itself. Again, fine. Let's look at the tshuva. Could be there's a mistake in the quote. Or David, is Eitzer Shabbos on Eitzer? Okay, we'll get a copy of it. That's Rav Elyashiv's tshuva. He says, but what about the fact that the Chai Adam Avada, and we know the Mishnah Brura, which is one that you're all thinking, which is the Mishnah Brura in Reish and Gimel, 48 and Memches and Samachtas, says that if it's open on top, it's not Hatmanah. It's not Hatmanah. He says, but there's a Pri Megadim. He adds on then the Svara, Kacha Derech Levashal B'chol Tamid, and therefore, Lafikach ein kan heter shel megula milmala lafkia metmana. That's what Rav Elyashiv held, and that's what Rav Elyashiv felt, that a crockpot is aser mitzad hatmana. They pushed Rav Elyashiv and they said, "Can you raise it up a little bit? Can you raise up that it's not fully submerged, and now there's going to be a ring around it that's going to be raised?" And he says, "Yes, that is going to be an eitzah to raise it. However, don't do it with silver foil, because that's not going to do anything for you. You have to put small stones in the bottom. I'll just add lib and add in, or a small piece of foil on the bottom, or something crumpled on the bottom. Not just align it with a perfect piece of foil, because that doesn't do anything to you. The whole point is you want to raise it up a little bit. And the mixas made the funness or makula, shabir, lekule alma. And then Rav Elyashiv ends off, and he says, don't get confused. This is avada lechatchila, pabishas adchak. Of course, there's a makam to be mekel. He says you could be misarif the svara that you're doing it derech bishul l'shem bishul and not l'shem hatmana. Arkan divrei Rav Elyashiv, and therefore Rav Elyashiv's psak was it should not be used in the regular form. It should be used raised up a little bit, and that would be the lechatchila. There would be lechatchila. Maybe, and that's a shmuz we spoke about by Shehiyah. We spoke that by Shehiyah. You think you line with foil, it helps you. It could be all you're doing is you're making it worse because you're making it hotter, and it doesn't really do anything. Rav Sheinberg comes along again. I just didn't understand his. Again, also in Sefer Eitzes Hashavs, they bring down Rav Sheinberg. I just didn't, not that I have a kasha, I didn't fully understand what he was saying. Then, of course, we have Rishon Zalman. That, which is just fascinating, because in the Shmir Shabbos Kol Chasai, in Perek Aleph Halacha Peichas, he basically, he like pleads the fifth. He says, ask a shayla, like Rebbe, we're asking the shayla, you are the shayla. And then the Ha'ara, he says, She'elazu dantil v'mayir v'rabi, asher lefi mashes virloi, aloifim pulos machshazen, not to lesar. And then Avado, the Torah, they went back and they forth, and he got sick, and he went to the hospital. Unfortunately, he was nifter, and unclear now what happened over here. Rav Yadler Tainas, that he knows Kimat, what's his lashon? Kimat 100% that the Rebbe was Mekel. That's what he writes, and he knows based on whatever. Okay, but Rav Zalman seemingly wanted to be machmer. You all saw the small tshuva in Mincha Shleima, and he writes, "Lo Reisim says Shem Heter. I'm not willing to be mekel. Adarabba, I'm asking that there's going to be a problem," and he says that Lamaisa should be called Hatmanah b'devar Ma'asav Hevel. Ein lahakal afilim bushkol tzarkai. He says, Mamish, she wants to throw the whole kitchen sink at you. You mamish get all three in one. Shiach and Hatmanah. And he says, what's the Eitzah? The Eitzah is to raise it up. That's the Eitzah, and it should be Baletes, Vinikeres, Shimavsekes, Beineam, Gamim Maetes, Ksasas Achoim, Chashmal, Veish, Hi Kiketuma. That is some Zalman. Then, of course, we all saw the Rav Vosner came along, and Rav Vosner thought this whole thing is crazy. And he says, number one, the Pashas of the Ramah is Mikola Milmala, there's no din of Hatmanah. And therefore, we pass like the Ramah. He says, number two is we have the Shulchan Aruch Harav and Kutras Achron who comes along, and he says that we're Mekel. And the Magen Avram, Lamayin Hativ, says we're Mekel. And the Lavosh says you're Mekel. He says, but don't worry, says Rav Vosner, I didn't forget that there's a Rabbeinu Tam in Sefer Yashar that's mashma Deloy Hitarak b'miyut kacholim. And Avada, I saw that the Chazon Ish in Lamed Zayin Yates is also mefakvek with Divrei Adarkei Moshe. Avagamu Haven, he understood the Ramah, but the Chazon Ish is not so whatever. Pshita, so the Shevet Levi ends, and so I think everyone says, okay, so the Shevet Levi holds its mutter. Shevet Levi ends. Pshita, demand to make Karama Shulchan Aruch Dagraz Udiime Magen Avram. He says, okay, that's perfectly fine. He says, Ella demisha hechmer ba'atzma yish makom lahatzdik chumrasai aval levatel ein lanu koyach. So it's just interesting is even with all his fire, he didn't feel Yumamish could kamach avek. Ramesh Sternbach writes similarly. He writes that Ikra din is to be mekel. He says one who wants to be machmer like the Gedali Hayra, you're able to. Rav David Feinstein comes along, and he's really the staunchest supporter of the Kula, and he says it's not derech amana, ela derech bishul b'kedei rishish b'kisei v'lo yahavik atmana. He says sarach in gadol on Rishon Zalman Arbach, and he says you want to be machmer because the pri megadim. He says again, the Rav David didn't actually write this. This was written by a Talmud. But they're all arguing with the Ramah. And we go to Ramah. And that's really the end. There's one last detail. There's an El Yerab Lamaisa that also argues on the Ramah, which is important. There is an El Yerab that argues on the Ramah, but I don't know what El Yerab is. He doesn't quote what El Yerab is. He says, Save El Yerab Chaliklav. I think I actually have the El Yerab over here. I thought I had El Yerab over here. I don't have El Yerab. I don't have El Yerab. Okay. And that's really the end of it. So what's Lamaisa? What's Lamaisa is let's just tally up the score. Let's just tally up the score, and let's just tally up the score and walk away happy. Lamaisa, there are many reasons to be mekel. Many reasons to be mekel. And if someone wants to walk away from the sugya and say the chayr it's pasha to be mekel, it's definitely yesh lanu. He's able. There's what for it to be said to that. The shayla really is the other way. Is there what to be machmir on? And Lamaisa starts with the Chazon Ish. Now, I'm not saying we generally take the chumras of the Chazon Ish. We certainly don't. But when Rishon Zalman joins forces with the Chazon Ish, it's a rare occurrence. I mean, I don't know what to say, right, Davis? How many Rishon Zalmans do we have joining forces with the Chazon Ish in one of their own fights? Not that many. So, and even Rabbi Yashiv. So like it's a little bit difficult that like really the Gedali HaPoskim in Eretz Yisrael felt this was a very shor shayla. Meaning I think if this would have been the other way, in any other sugya, if you have a Chazon Ish and you have some Zalman and you have a Yashiv, and who's on the other team? Shevet Levi. Now I understand that it's a Ramah. I understand. But even with that being said, you have yeah. So yeah. So I mean I think if we were to reframe this a little bit, if we were to have, let's say, a kula that was supported by a Chazon Ish or some Zalman or a Yashiv, and then we'd have that the pashtus of the Ramah and the Mishnah Berurah is the Hachmir. What would we say? You say Avata, there's what to be machmer on. But of course, what can I tell you? How can you not be makel when you have a Zalman, you have a Chasinish, you have a Yashiv? And I think we would all walk away. And as we usually say, so for while you're learning the sugya, you'll take the chumrah for a few weeks, and then slowly we'll fall away because you know that dicker is like the paiskim. So l'chayra, if we flip it around, I would think that it's the same attitude. Is that when you have a chazanish or a yasher shemazalmin that are coming to you machmir, l'chayra, that's what one should do. And avada, as Rav, as they all said, that if one is mekel, there is what to rely upon, and it's not such a shvar chumrah. We get very emotional over this chumrah. It's such a, I don't want to call it, it's a silly chumrah. It's so simple. Just raise up your crockpot. And anyways, we spoke about in the world of shihiyah that just lining it with foil might not work, and therefore if your food's not fully cooked, you run into shihiyah issues. Anyways, so the answer really is just raise up your crockpot. The only problem, and with this will end, is if you just raise up your crockpot and you don't line it, then you run into chazara issues. Just you have to put all three sigyas together to remember what's going on over here. Okay, your food's going to be cooked. So if you want to klabe Hatmanah, you put three little stones in the bottom, but then when you go to do chazara, you have a problem. You have a problem for chazara. I don't think anyone says that your three stones are going to help you for chazara. You need to line your fire. You still have a revealed flame. Happens to be for Hatmanah purposes, it's not going to be called Hatmanah, and therefore it's going to work. So the eitzah is to line it with a few racks or a few pieces of foil, or just to line it in a haphazard way that it's sticking up a bissel. That's a sigya. Tzlacha ubracha.